the summertime, it felt right drinking cherry wine with you. I just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
This is the first time I met you, but I know who you are. I know your music. I've listened to it growing up. It was awesome. So tell us about, how did you get started?
Well, I was always interested in music. I liked to sing when I was younger, and I was always interested in the piano. So I always played the piano by ear and learned songs that I heard on the radio as a child. And I always wanted to put out music, you know, just to do that. It was just something that I just wanted to do. When I was living with my parents, actually I wrote my songs while I was still living at home with my parents. I had like a little studio I made in my house.
That's a lot of material that goes on with that, so.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a lot of, I could barely afford some of the instruments because I would like,
right.
Literally, yeah, because I had to get my own instruments, and I recorded on a cassette deck back then. I didn't have like a multi-track. You know, now you can get a computer and you could do, you know, 48 tracks. But back then it was like I was recording everything on a cassette tape and making demos and things like that. But I guess how I got into the music is I made a demo record. What I did is I recorded a song which is called Time After Time, and it was like a dance song. I got this drum machine from a local pawn shop here in Fresno, actually, and I got some other equipment, and I wrote this song at home in my parents' house, and I was probably about 20-ish, around there. And it was a dance song that I did on the drum machine. I did the bass, the music, the piano, everything I did. I went into a friend of mine had a garage here locally, and I took my equipment in there and I did this song Time After Time. So what I did is I went to LA, and there was a place called Macola Records, which is like, that was the go-to place in the 80s. Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, everybody went to Macola Records because this guy on Santa Monica Boulevard, his name was Don McMillan, he pressed, if you went to him with the right amount of money, he would press up a few hundred records for you, like the 12-inch record. And then you could do whatever you want with them. You could take them to the radio stations and whatnot, you know. And that's what I did, is I pressed up this record, and I went to LA, and I was taking them into clubs, just random clubs, you know, dance clubs, and handing them to the DJs. So
you were your own you were your own everything. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, I took them to every radio station I could think of that was playing that style of music, which was called freestyle at the time. It's still called freestyle, but that kind of music, these stations were really pushing it. Back in the day, there was like a lot of stations were pushing this freestyle kind of music. And it's hard to describe. I guess freestyle is like when you use the 808 drum machine kind of in the background, and you have like a Moog bass line, and it's kind of something that a lot of freestyle artists use. And so I actually went to Power 106, which was the main station in LA, and I remember ringing the buzzer because it was after hours, and I had a couple of 12-inch records, and I rang the buzzer and I told the DJ, hey, can you come down and get these records? And I left them on their doorstep. And within a few days, it was weird because a friend of mine in LA calls me up and says, hey, I heard your song on the radio. It's crazy, they're playing it. I go, what? In Hollywood, in LA? I was like, oh my God. You know, and it was so cool. Well, at the time, there were stations that were putting records up against each other. So, say for instance, someone like me who's a nobody, I gave the records to the radio station, and they'd put me up like against Madonna or George Michael or whoever. And you would call up and you'd vote. You'd say, hey, I like this song. And they'd tally up the votes. And I was kicking Madonna's ass. I was kicking like all these big.
That's incredible.
It was weird, yeah. And so the radio station was like, hey, you know, you have this hit on your hands. You're actually getting more votes than these major artists. And it was amazing. It was exciting, you know. And I didn't have product in the stores because I didn't have a deal at the time. It was just me just getting my music heard. So
you weren't represented by anybody.
No, it was just me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy because I wasn't making any money. I was kind of going broke because I was calling radio stations, and at the time, you know, long distance. Now, you know, there is an arm and a leg. So I was running up my parents' phone bill, and I was sending these records to radio stations, and I was like, using the stations that were playing it, I'd say like, look, I got a Fresno station, I got Power 106. I ended up getting their sister station, Q106 in San Diego. And then I got one station that really kind of broke my record. Hot 97 in New York started playing it. So 8 million people.
How did you get it over there?
I sent it to them.
Wow, okay, so you were doing that too.
Yeah, I was sending the record, so it was costing me money on postage, phone calls. And once the New York station was like, and they had reached out to like, they hit like 8 million people. They're listening to my songs. So basically I'm famous, but I'm broke. So I have no money. There's no product in the stores.
Wow, that's interesting.
So they're not selling any records because, you know, there's no product. Yeah, it's just my song on the radio. So the radio stations were even calling me, threatening me, going, look, you got to get some product in the stores because we're getting people calling us. We're playing this record. Record stores are even saying, hey, where can we get this record? You know, so there was no product. So I had to sign a deal quick, and I was shopping my record to a bunch of labels, and like CBS, Epic, there was a couple that wanted to sign me, but I went with a label called Quality Records, which was a smaller independent label. They promised that they would put it out immediately. They like.
Is that why? What was the deciding factor?
Well, it was because if I had went with the major, they probably would have put me on the shelf, and they probably wouldn't have been hungry and put the record out as fast as they did. Because Quality said, look, we'll press them up overnight. We'll do what we have to do. We'll ship them to all these record stores and get them in the stores, because radio stations were threatening to drop my record from airplay because, like I said, it was a reflection on the station. Yeah, so I signed with Quality Records, which was a little independent. I was their first artist they signed.
No way!
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
And they
helped you, help them.
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess the original owner that started Quality, his name was Ray Kivas, and he was out of Canada, and he used to do those K-Tel Presents, you know, these compilation records of the 70s, hits of the 70s and 80s, and it was a bunch of songs that were already out for years, and he wanted to go and do his own label with like actual artists, new artists, and I was their first actual artist, so they wanted to test it out on me and see, and it was amazing. I mean, I was lucky that I found them and they found me, and it just kind of worked out for, you know, both of us.
That's such a cool story. So then the moment you got him in there, what happened after that? Because you still didn't have, you were signed to them. Did they get you the gigs? Like, when did you start touring and performing?
Well, I got an agency out of New York who handled New Kids on the Block at the time too. You know, I was already doing gigs on my own. Like, I was my own booking agent too. I was opening for New Kids on the Block, actually here in Fresno at the Wilson Theater down the block from where we're actually recording this. And I was calling promoters, and I was like, hey, can I perform for, you know, be an opening act? And they're like, yeah, you know, sure. And I wasn't getting paid. I was doing this stuff for free because I knew that I would get promotion out of this, doing opening for these. So I did several shows with New Kids on the Block and Tiffany and, you know, people in the 80s, and just trying to get my name out there. But I signed with an agency, a famous artist agency out of New York, and they started getting me, you know, paid gigs, and I was doing fairs and clubs and, you know, things of that nature, you know. So I started finally making some money when I was doing shows, you know.
So your hit, One More Try, was that on the first record that you got out with Quality, or was that later on?
Yes, it was.
That was on that first?
Yeah, it was on Quality Records. That was actually on my first album. See, because Time After Time, the dance record I did, came out before One More Try. Okay, One More Try, of course, went to, #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles, so I was lucky it went #1.
So did One More Try not, I mean the other one, the Time After Time, did that get on there?
Yes, it did chart. It went top 40. So that's the one that kind of got my name out there. What happened was Time After Time started going up the dance charts, and it started going up the Hot 100 singles on Billboard, and it actually reached #40, which was just enough to get me in the countdown with like, you know, Rick Dees and Casey Kasem and all that. And they're like, you know, this week on the top 40, and they would like, there's 1,000 stations around the country that were playing Casey Kasem's top 40.
Right.
So every station in America that was playing the countdown had to play my song. So Time After Time got airplay in like all these stations that weren't playing that song. So I got much more publicity and promotion that way. So Time After Time started like doing very well, you know, that song. And I thought, man, I remember going to Hollywood, walking in like a Sam Goody's or Warehouse Music back in the day. And I'm in Hollywood, California. I'm like, wow, this is so cool, you know. And I went in a record store, and I remember they had the top 25 cassettes, and mine was #1. They said #1 selling cassette, and I was like above Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, they had this like little stand, and it said top 25, and I was like, wow. And I remember when that was, I was like, this is an amazing feeling to see yourself in Hollywood, you know, in the entertainment capital of the world, seeing your song #1 sales. And I thought, man, I'll never have a hit like this again. And then I had One More Try, which was like
so
way
cool.
bigger than that song.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was amazing. It was a nice ride. I had to get a publicist because when you're doing, you know, when you're trying to push your music and this and that, you have to get a publicist. So in LA, I hired Rogers and Cowan, and they did publicity for movies and different artists and stuff. And I was always on them, calling them every day, get me on some shows, I want to be on TV. And, I kept saying, work for your money, help me out. And they were great. They put me on, like, I was on Regis and Kathy Lee. I flew to New York and did the Joan Rivers show. She had her own talk show. And Rick Dees had a talk show. I did like all the major talk shows.
At the time.
Yeah, it was, so I got a lot of publicity. So they helped me out, that helped too.
So how to go with a band, because you did a lot of the tracks yourself and recorded yourself. At what point did you get more players? And
I didn't really use a band per se when I recorded my music for the CD.
Yeah.
But when I started doing shows for like arenas and things of that nature back then, I hired keyboardists and a Afro drummer. Yeah. I was doing all these major places, so I got a couple dancers. I actually got 2 female dancers in LA, and I got 2 male dancers, so I had 4 dancers. I had a drummer, keyboardist, 2 other keyboardists. I had like about, I don't know, 8, 10 people. And then I had to get a tour bus and then hire a tour bus driver. And I did a tour over Florida. I did the grad nights for Disneyland. I did Disney World, Disneyland. I did Knott's Berry Farm, Great America, all the major theme parks. So I had to have a band back me up. So they all learned my music. I helped them out, and they learned my music so we could do everything live. Because I was doing some stuff on track. When I first started out, I was doing these little clubs, and I'd take it wasn't even a CD, it was a reel-to-reel, that's how old I am. It was a reel-to-reel, and the club would have to provide a reel-to-reel machine, and I'd have to thread it on the reels, and I would perform to background instrumentals at the time. So I would just take 2 guys that were my dancers, and I'd sing to my background music. But then when I was doing these big arenas, of course, that's when I took a band and went, the full, way.
How exciting. So where did it take you after that? So when all that was going on, what else happened in between then and now?
Well, I've toured all over the world. I've been to like Belgium, Germany. I went to Japan. I toured all over Japan. I went to Tokyo. I mean, you name it.
So was it with different bands you were doing?
I was
did you ever do
you name it. I
tours?
performed with like Mariah Carey, Michael Bolton, Will Smith. When Will Smith was just coming out, I did shows with Will Smith. I mean, you name it. Celine Dion. I mean, huge stars because I was coming out. Late '80s, early '90s, and when I was coming out, and these people were just some of these people I was performing were just coming out. Yeah, so I've performed with like you name it. So many people, and even to this day, I do a lot of shows with, and I don't pick who I perform with. Of course, it's the promoter. They'll call me up, hey, I got this show, and we have like a '90s, like I performed with Vanilla Ice last year, and just people like that, people from the '80s and '90s. So I never know. It's cool to see who I'm going to be with.
Wow, and then you have some coming up. Tell us about the performance you have coming up this.
Well, I have a show actually here in Fresno. I have a show at the Woodward Park Amphitheater. It's a show with Mega 97.9, and it's a show that actually comes every year. They're very successful. They've been doing this for several years, and it's like well, they usually call it a freestyle explosion, and they usually bring like Stevie B, Lisa, people from the '80s. This year, it's going to have, I believe, Stevie B, Lisa, tag team, who sing "Whoop There It Is." I think I just saw that song in a commercial the other day, like an insurance commercial or something. But people like that. We're doing a big show here in Fresno. I think it only holds about somewhere around 2,000 people, so we're probably bound to sell out.
So we got to get tickets quick. Okay.
Yeah, you can get tickets at mega979.com. I believe they have tickets still available, but they are selling quick. The show is actually May 6th here this year, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a great show. And then I have some other shows coming up. I'm going to play the San Jose Civic Center May 13th. I'm doing Aromas, California on May 14th. And I'm doing a huge show in Long Beach, a big freestyle show in Long Beach with over 20 acts. We're talking Tiffany from the 80s, Lisa, Expose, a bunch. I mean, it's going to be huge. And that one usually sells out. And there's usually about in the upwards of 20,000 people. And it's going to be right next to the Queen Mary. and it's going to be huge, Long Beach, and that's, like I said, August 20th of this year too. So that's another show I'm looking forward to.
That's incredible. Do you still compose new music and original?
Well, it's, I want to, but the thing is, like, the radio right now, because I've been branded as a freestyle artist in this genre of music, and the radio doesn't really support new freestyle. It's almost like asking Casey and the Sunshine Band, dude, when are you gonna put out some new music? I want to hear some Get Down Tonight, or, and he'd be like, well, he can't put that disco music out because people associate him with those kind of songs.
Right.
So with me, I'm kind of branded as a freestyle artist, and when I do these shows, a lot of the promoters, they don't allow you to promote your new music anyway. So they're like, hey, Timmy, do your songs. It's a 90s tour. The people that go there want to go back to their high school memories, play. So almost all the promoters don't allow us artists to do anything new or even showcase it, because the fact that the crowds are already buying their tickets based to go back to that time when they, remember being in high school, dancing to my song, so it's kind of hard to push that music right now. But I do dabble. I have some recording equipment at home. I still have my keyboards and I still play. Maybe if I get, a record deal or something, if I shop a deal, I've been approached, but I'm just kind of like, I'm just doing my shows.
What about collabs? I know collabs is kind of the way to branch out of that. When you collaborate with other people, then they kind of see you as that with a newer song.
I would be open to that. That's cool too. I would be open to someone. I've had a few people redo my songs and put them out. Some rappers and singers.
How do you feel about that?
I'm cool with that. It's
you like the different versions?
I do. I think it's cool. I like it. It's flattering to have another artist want to do your song.
Right.
It brings it to their fan base, so it just keeps my music alive. So I'm all for it. It's great. My song was used in a movie recently with a kid. His name is Timothy Chalamet, and he's a huge kid in Hollywood. I think he's playing Willy Wonka in the new Willy Wonka.
Oh, nice.
Those are big shoes to fill. So he's going to play Willy Wonka. I was in a movie. My song One More Try was in a movie that he was in, and it's called Hot Summer Nights, and the music's that's in the movie is like 90s. So the director saw my song. It was something he remembered. He decided to use my song in the movie. So I was flattered. So I get flattered when they use my songs in movies because, like I said, it just keeps my name out there. It's, it's fine, and I'm not against it. It's great. I love like Pandora and all these other online, radio stations made like this. I didn't do it, but they made like this radio station with my picture and this, and I've got like 100,000 subscribers on one and 90,000 on another, and I get like millions of plays on like Pandora, and it's kind of cool. So online, and they didn't have online stuff when I was out. It would be so awesome if they had like the the internet.
Can you imagine? I know.
I know, because people are getting famous off the internet. Look at Justin Bieber put out a video on YouTube, and next thing, this guy's making millions of dollars, and he's like all over the place. So people can actually, it's different when I started. There was no internet.
Oh, just all the work that you even did, that's a lot. That you were going door to door.
And at the time, I didn't even own a car. I was riding my motorcycle everywhere. And I remember I would strap my records on the back of my motorcycle, literally, and I was going places on my motorcycle. And I remember I got in a wreck one time. My records went flying all over the place, and they broke. And I was like, but I was always delivering my records on a motor, and even the day before I signed my record deal in LA, I slept in my car. I couldn't even afford a hotel.
Oh my
I was sleeping in my car off the side of the freeway. Yeah, I was on the side of the freeway, and I remember, this is the truth. I actually took a shower at a truck stop the day that I signed my record deal. I went because I was sleeping in my car, foggy windows in the morning, freezing, off to the side of the freeway, and going to a truck stop and paying to use the shower to go, because I couldn't afford it. I was young. I didn't have the money. The only job I really ever had prior to singing, I worked at the movie theater here locally. I worked at like UA Movies. I worked at McDonald's here when I was like 16. I was getting $2.85 an hour back then, $2.85 an hour. And everyone else was getting like $3.35. I had like one of those slips from the school where they allowed me to work under 18. So I was doing, I didn't.
Were you surprised at your success? Because it kind of came overnight in a way.
It kind of did, actually. Yeah, it kind of did for me. I did put in a lot of time and effort, you know, because I remember I drove everywhere. Like I would go to like, there was a local station, I think it might still exist here in Fresno, at the college, Fresno State. I believe it was KFSR. I took my record there, you know, and I had the college DJs playing it. And I bought trade magazines from the radio industry, and I would find addresses and the genre of music that these stations were playing. I'd get their address, and I would get my record, I'd stick it in an envelope, and I'd ship it to all these places, and I'd put like a little cover letter, I'd sign it, and I'd say, you know, hey, my record's being played on this station, I'd kind of give them a little list of who's playing it, and to kind of get them interested. And I got a lot of publicity that way. A lot of people were actually, disc jockeys were actually playing my record. And I would even call I would call the radio station, and I would get like the secretary up front. She'd be like, you know, such and such radio. And I'd be like, hi, can I speak to such and such a program director? Oh, I'm sorry, he's on the air right now. Right. You know, I'm like, okay, what's your request line number? Like, oh, it's, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm writing it down. I'd call the request line. Keep calling, until he answered. And I would call, and I would literally pester the program director on his shift, you know, and I would take no for an answer. I literally was pounding the pavement.
And that is such great advice for anybody that wants to make it in anything.
Yeah, you just, you know, I never gave up. You know, I had doors slammed in my face because I sent my record to record companies before I got my record deal. I was sending them to record companies. I got a lot of rejection letters, you know, they're like, you know, we're not interested, and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, when the radio stations started playing my records, I said, well, you know what? I don't need them. I'm going to get radio stations to play my record, whatever. And radio stations started playing my record, and then those same labels were coming, hey, we're interested. And I'm like,
right.
Well, I have this rejection letter from you, you know. And
how funny.
I remember, yeah, the guy that ran Ruthless Records, he came up to me and he goes, hey, I hear your song's on the radio. He had offered me a deal. And he goes, I'd like to sign you. And I'm like, well, hey, they're playing my record on Power 106 here in LA. They're playing it on Key 106, Hot 97. He goes, I'll give you $5,000, and I'll give you. I'm like, dude, $5,000. I go, it was cheap. And the offer was $5,000 because it would cost radio stations thousands to get some of these songs played on the air. And I did his job for him, you know. So I thought it was a really low ball offer, you know. And at that time, he was doing rap too. I'm thinking, Ruthless Records, he's doing like rap songs, and it's not even my field. So I turned him down. I ended up going to Quality, and I was very successful with them.
Did you get a lot of your own money from each record sold because it was a small label like that, whereas if you went with a big one, you would have gotten less money per album sold?
Probably. Yeah, I probably would have got less if I went with a major. Right. Because Quality, they were good to me. They, you know, they were very, very, very good to me. I mean, I remember I even broke down when I finally got a car. I was in LA, and I broke down somewhere in LA. I was on my way to like Disneyland. I was going to do a show at Disneyland. My record company, I called them up. I was desperate. I was off the freeway, and my record company said, hey, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And they were so cool. They sent like a tow truck down. They took my car to a mechanic, and on the next, you know, day I went and picked it up, and they're like, hey, look, we'll just take it out of your check. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. They were really cool. Like, they really took care of me. They went above and beyond to actually do stuff like that for me. So I was very, very grateful. It was Russ Regan, who was the actual president of Quality, who was the one that was running it. And he used to be like head of Columbia, like when Flashdance came out. Like, you'll see his name in the credits. He did the music for that, and he did for Breakin', the movie Breakin'. And Russ Regan, yeah, he was a great guy. He came over there and he headed Quality, and very nice man. He passed away a couple years ago. Very nice man. But yeah, he really took care of me, and the record label was great.
So what is the song One More Try about?
God, I've said this a billion times in interviews too. It's like no secret. It was written for a girl that I was dating at the time, One More Try. We had broke up, and I wanted to get her back, so I said, okay, I want to write this song called One More Try, and that's basically what I did. I wrote the song for her, and I gave it to her. I gave her the demo on a cassette. And I said, I wrote this song for you, and I gave it to her. And it's funny because the demo I gave to her is the same one that went #1. People don't realize, they think I went in the studio and re-recorded One More Try or whatever, That was actually the demo tape.
Wow.
And all I did is I gave it to the record company and they remastered it, but it was actually the way I made it in the studio in Fresno. And my budget was about $200 on that song.
That is incredible.
It sold over 1 million copies, went gold, went platinum, and I think I paid somewhere in the vicinity about $200 to produce it.
Did you get her back from that?
I did get her back, but it was a short time later we stopped dating because I was like on the road a lot and I didn't have time to, I was out of Fresno, you know, and we ended up splitting up and, you know, we remained friends. It was not.
That's a great story. I mean, you'd be like, yeah, this song made it #1.
Yeah, and I'd always talked about her in interviews too. I mean, I did interviews for different newspapers and like the New York Post and the Globe, and they always mentioned her name. Her name was Cindy, and they mentioned her name in a lot of the interviews that I gave. And like I said, we had a good relationship even after. So there was no hard feelings or anything when we split up. It was just something that I was going this way and she was here in Fresno, and you know, it was just something that just, you know, I had to move on with my career, you know.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show. I hope I could see you in concert. Everyone needs to go and get their tickets.
Yeah.
What's the date again for it?
One here in Fresno is May 6th. It's at the Fresno Woodward Park Amphitheater.
So what day does that fall on? Saturday night?
I think it's a Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it is, yeah, May 6th. We'll have to look it up. I don't even know.
I know. I thought at first you told me it was April, so now I got it. Okay.
Yeah, May 6th. So yeah, so get your tickets at mega97.com. And hope to see everybody there from Fresno. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you for coming in the studio today, Bill. This is the first time you've been to the studio. I always come out to you.
Yeah, I know. We've had the fortune of having you come out, and we've had some really good tapings.
So there's been some great things going on. This is the last time I've been there, and you have a lot of events coming out this year. Do you think it helps that a lot of COVID bans were kind of lift so we could have some more fun?
Oh yes, yeah. That was a big hurdle that we had to get over, and but now with the mask mandates being relaxed, we're able to do a whole lot more.
I know it never mattered because you guys were outside, very social. That's like one of the socially distanced events you can go to from one plane to another. But still, I know that was like a lot of people were apprehensive about coming out.
Yeah, we have 38 acres of social distance, and most of the airplanes are more than 6 feet apart, so we don't have a problem with that. But yeah, but last year we still had a good turnout, but not as good as they were
years prior.
The years before, right?
Okay, so what's happening now? Castle Air Museum, you're getting more planes?
Right. Oh yeah, we're getting quite a few actually. We're actually getting more than what we can deal with.
And how is that? How did they decide, okay, we're going to park it here, and then you're like, okay, that's great, but now you got to make some room. What's the decision behind all that?
Well, we have a plan that when we acquire an airplane, we fundraise for it, and then we pay for it, through GSA or through AMARC down at the Boneyard in Arizona. And then we transport it up, we bring it in the hangar, the guys repaint it, and then we put it out on the grounds.
Okay.
Okay. That's normally how it should go.
Yeah.
But this year, it's been a two-edged sword. We were able to take on 4 helicopters
Okay.
from Barbers Point in Hawaii, and so we took them and we received them. The problem with that was we had 4 helicopters and 1 A4, which was in the movie Top Gun when it was filmed down at Miramar. The problem with that was that we had an F-102, the A6 Intruder, which was in the movie The Flight of the Intruder. It was the actual close-up airplane. So we got that. That's in the hangar. And then we have the Black Bunny Phantom, which is coming. And we have the F-117 Stealth Fighter, all stacked up within about a 6-month period. So our volunteers are great. They're awesome. But they can only, handle so much. So we're going to get a little bit of a backlog, there. So that's the only hiccup in the whole thing when you take on so many airplanes at one time. You got to have a place to put them, and then be able to put them in line in order to get repainted and then get put out on the grounds.
It's kind of a good problem to have, though, right?
Well, yeah, it is. But the problem with that is that people hear that you've got it, and then they come to the museum and then they want to see it.
Oh, everybody wants everything right away, right away, right away.
Yeah, and you take these airplanes we're getting plus the other 3 that we actually have that are waiting to be, restored and put back together and put on the grounds. So, literally we have almost 9 airframes that will be waiting, its turn.
It's funny, they're actually like taxing like actual airplanes that are going in the air. They're waiting for their moment to go.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of an assembly line, and the problem is that each airplane has its own set of problems, because a lot of these airplanes have been sitting out in the desert. They've been, or in this case, the Hawaii airplanes was in Hawaii. So we know we're going to have to deal with some corrosion issues, and that takes time, to go ahead and to fix.
Right.
We only have so many sheet metal guys, and right now we only have 2, and so that's why we're in dire need of volunteers. Anybody who has sheet metal experience, regardless of what it is, we could really use you. And we need also people to take care of the airplanes out on the grounds like Carl and I do.
You do get credit for that, right? So if you're like in college and you're doing, what degree would require working with sheet metal?
Well, that's more of a trade school setup. Yeah.
But you do get credit. I know a lot of people get college you get credit for doing stuff there, so it is worth people's time to go and get that get the education that you guys provide, and then they get some type of credit for it. So it's totally worth.
Yeah, we've had people that have volunteered and put it on their resume for something that's completely unrelated.
So anybody watching that has experience, come on.
And get the job because they volunteered.
Right.
At a museum that is, is ranked. And but we have an intern program with UC Merced, and so they'll send us, well, outside of COVID, they'll send us 15, 20 students, and they'll spend a whole semester with us, and they learn sheet metal and paint and how to fix the airplanes. Then they go into the aerospace industry once they graduate, and they put that on there. And we've had kids get Honeywell, Rockwell, Boeing snatches them right up. So yeah, so it's a big benefit.
It's the best education ever. I mean, it blows my mind what I learn every time I go. They're even talking to you, and like you said, people just don't think. You see something that's nice and pretty, you don't think about all that took to get there. I didn't know about, we're still working with my plane with the cement under the ground.
Right.
And it's like you don't think about, that would have never occurred to me, all the things that you need just to keep the planes nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, being outdoors,
especially in this heat.
Yeah, the airplanes take a beating, and there's no way of getting around it. The only good thing about it is California is a fairly dry climate. It's not as dry as Arizona, but it's decently dry. So corrosion is an issue, but it's not nearly as bad as it, say, Hawaii or the East Coast, would be. An average paint job will last, if it's well cared for, between 5 to 8 years. before it starts to fade, and then we would have to repaint it. Miss Sparkle's paint job is now 6 years old.
And it still looks amazing.
And it looks like almost the day that we rolled it out.
It preserves with the age, like me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we put a $40,000 Emerald paint job on Miss Sparkle.
Wow.
It was, and it took us 4 days to paint it. But it was one of the airplanes that flew here at the Guard, and I worked on it occasionally when we had it out here because I was there, for 2 decades. But yeah, it's so we need volunteers. Yeah.
Exactly. No, for sure. Do you have to get rid of some airplanes to get the new ones in?
No, we never.
I didn't know to make space if that was.
No, fortunately, we have space for everything that is incoming.
Okay.
And we probably have enough to probably add another 4 or 5.
What would be a decision factor in getting rid of or giving it to another museum? Like, what would happen? And do you do that, or everyone you keep?
No, we keep everything.
Okay, so you've never done that. You've never given.
No, we've had a few airplanes that were taken, that were sent to the National Museum, the Air Force Museum at Dayton, or Pensacola.
So who
for
decides
the
that?
Navy. The higher ups. They're like,
we want this one.
Yeah,
and we need this for
the
this.
Air Force or the Navy. They'll go ahead and they'll make that call, and then they send a team that will take the airplane apart, and then they'll ship it to the National Museum. But we've only had that happen once. Yeah.
So what are the new ones you got? I know our producer's excited about one of them. Tell us about the new planes you got coming in.
Well, right now we've got the 2 of the 4 helicopters. So we have a Seahawk, which is the Navy version of the Black Hawk.
Okay.
And then we have the Cobra, and which is an attack helicopter. Those 2 are here, and they're in the hangar, and the guys are sprucing them up, putting the blades back on. And then they should be out before Open Cockpit Day for viewing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then the one that your producer is really keen on is the Black Bunny Phantom. And the Black Bunny Phantom is an F4 Phantom S model. And it flew with the Navy, and it flew with the test squadron down at Port Magoo during the 70s and the 80s. And it's painted gloss black, and it has the Playboy bunny on the tail. And the story behind that was that Hugh Hefner had to write a letter that okayed the Navy to use the Playboy bunny on the tail. And he said, I don't mind you using it, but it has to be the correct bunny. It can't be the facsimile or our version of it or whatever the case. It has to be the original Playboy bunny. And so they did, and so they flew 2 airplanes that were black with the bunnies. And the first airplane was decommissioned, and it was sent over to England for the RAF. And then this airplane that we're getting, 5583, is the last one. And it's been down at Davis Moth and down in Tucson for 30 years. So they went in, they decommissioned it, they pulled the engines out, and they towed it over to Pima County Air Museum. And then there it sits, and so we'll send a crew down and fold the wings up, suck the gear up, put it on a trailer, and then bring it home.
So did Hugh Hefner ever get to be in it?
Hugh, from what I understand, he came out and saw the airplanes a few times and brought some of the play.
But he never got to ride in it when it was active?
No, no, not that I'm aware of. I could be wrong about that. But
that's what I would have put in the clause. I'd be like, well, I want to ride at least once while it was active.
Yeah, but so that's probably actually going to be the most famous airplane that we have because it has such a huge cult following. Every time we put it on Facebook, it gets like 1,000 hits, you know. So then after that, the 117 Stealth Fighter, which I'm kind of excited about, it's still down in Tonopah, and they're prepping it so they can ship it to the museum. And we're thinking we're probably going to get that sometime in August. And then that'll be in the hangar for a while because we have to do some things to it in sheet metal wise that were taken off of the airplane because it was still classified parts. So we have to manufacture those and put them on and then repaint the airplane and then put it out on the grounds.
Okay, so we have a couple events coming. We have a golf tournament. When's that?
We got the golf tournament is a month from today at April 22nd.
Okay.
At Pheasant Run in Chowchilla.
Okay, so what's the deal with that? So we're doing a golf tournament for Castle Air Museum, but not at Castle Air Museum.
Correct.
To raise money for Castle Air Museum?
Correct.
Okay, so where do you go to get tickets for that?
You can go on the website and you can register your team or single player. Single player is $125, I believe, and a foursome is $400, I think.
Are you gonna play?
No. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm going in for surgery the week before, so I won't be there. But
Is anybody else from the gang gonna play?
Yeah, I think we got some few people from the museum that's gonna play in the tournament. We have some newscasters that looks like they're gonna play from 24 and 47. I got the guys from the City Police Skywatch that they're gonna play, and then also the guys from the helicopter unit from the Sheriff's Department. They're gonna put up a foursome.
We should just have, those of us that aren't playing should just make some bets. That's a good, like, our money's on that person. That'd be fun. That would really sweeten the pot.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
So what's the other event?
Open Cockpit Day. And the next one, that'll be May 30th.
I'm so excited about that.
Are you? Good.
I am. Yeah. That was a great, I hope the weather's better than last time.
Yeah, well, Open Cockpit Day in May is a toss-up. It can go either way. It can be cold, or it can be, as you know, warm. And we try to make it as comfortable as we possibly can. But that Open Cockpit Days are our biggest fundraising events. And
it was great. Even though it was so hot, the community really came out. They really showed love and support. It was fun, huh?
Yeah, it was. I think we had 3,200 people that day that you were there.
Right.
And then in October, I think we were at 2,800. So it was still a decent turnout, but it's not the 4,000 and 5,000 that we normally get. But I think COVID had a lot to do with that.
Right, and I think it's so great to see the kids. But my biggest highlight was just seeing the kids got so excited about the planes, and I mean, you just really don't get an opportunity like that around here to.
No.
So it's so great to be a part of something like that, to really give back to the community, see their expression. And people, I try to tell everyone, take your children to these events. They're so amazing. It's like a lifetime. You don't forget about it.
No, you won't. You won't get a chance to go in some of these airplanes except for on days like this.
Right.
A lot of museums have open cockpit days, but they just open the canopies and you kind of just look in. They don't allow you to go in the airplanes where we do. Except for the fighters, we can't let you sit in the seats. But we've figured out how to do it, and the National Museum is comfortable with how we do it, and so they kind of give us the go ahead to do that. Those airplanes are airplanes, but they're also artifacts. They're historical artifacts.
No, I mean, usually when you just even go to museums, it always says that a sign, don't touch, don't touch. So to be able to do that's a very big deal.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
We appreciate that, you know, to be able to do that.
Well, again, it's our biggest fundraiser. And between the two open cockpit days, you know, we get enough to get us through the year and through the winter. Winter's normally a big downtime for us, but with attendance and everything.
Because it's hard because it's kind of too cold to go out.
Cold,
and you have
wet,
to recover,
foggy traditionally, but that's also the time of the year where we get a lot of things done. This year we're remodeling the bathrooms outside, and you'll. And then we also repaved 600 feet of path over by the bathrooms, which go over from the Thunderbird all the way around.
Cool.
Yeah, 8 feet wide, and the guys really did a beautiful job. The paving company that came in, and so we got that done. And where the helicopters go is called the wagon wheel, and we're redoing that completely, and that hopefully should be done for open cockpit. If not this one, for October, and that's going to have all the helicopters. So we're grouping all the helicopters together for the Navy and the Marines, you know, and all that. So
I love that. That's so amazing.
yeah, so that's on our plate. So wintertime is a chance that we get to some downtime, but to repair things and get things ready for the next show season, so to speak.
I love that you're doing the golf tournament. I love all these events are raising money. What are some of the other ones that are going to happen? Is that new to the golf thing? Have you done that before?
No, we've done that before. I think
It's just not since before COVID. Not since I've known you, we've had that.
No, we've done it. I think this is our 6th year.
Okay, because we didn't last year. You didn't, or did you?
We did it last year, but it was extremely low key.
Like this is a big thing. This is okay out there. Okay,
right,
I got
right.
it.
The other events we got going on, we're gonna have the car show. That date still has not been determined yet.
So what does that mean? What do we get to do with the cars?
Normally we bring in about 400 cars from different car clubs or whoever hears about it. It's open to
How
the
fun! Cars and planes. You got that. We could take photos with them. The cars.
And then they park next to the airplanes, and it's really a good time. People like it because they get to park on the grass and and again, because we're so big, we got 38 acres, so it's not like you're in a parking lot, where you're jammed. So everything can be spread out, fairly well.
I want to come that day and get all the pictures of the cars and the planes. That'll be so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So all the ladies got to come out for that to really get some nice photos.
Yeah, we open up Miss Sparkle for the day and let people, like we do on Open Cockpit.
Well, hopefully I'm there when you guys pick a date. We'll keep everyone posted on that.
And then the last event that we normally do is Corks and Kegs.
Well, I'm excited about that one too.
Yeah, I bet you are. And then that's when a lot of the breweries will come in and give samples out of their different wines and beers. And we normally do that in the evening times. And we're pushing that one back again because of the heat.
That's smart.
Yeah, so we did that one, I believe, in the last week of October last year. And it was decently attended, but again, it is what it is. When you have an outdoor event, you just have to kind of suffer through it sometimes with weather.
Right.
But we opened up Miss Sparkle that night, and people came out and looked at the airplane and everything. Yeah, it was really nice.
Well, I definitely am looking forward to all these events coming up.
We'd love to have you. We really love to have you come out. And no, the museum's doing really well. We were able to stay open pretty much, except all the way through COVID, except for about 6 weeks. And then the local politicians looked at us and they said, well, you're an outdoor venue. It gives people a place to go. And that really kept us in business. So being an outdoor venue was really the best thing.
I know that was the highlight of my experience during COVID, was going there for that first time when I got to go around, and I had no idea what I was getting into. It was just a plain museum. I was like, whatever, and then it blew my mind. Like, I really hope that everybody has a chance to visit there at least once.
No, we want everybody to come. It's something that a lot of people don't even know about, believe it or not. They never heard of us. And but we get a lot of people from the Bay Area, Redding, into Oregon, that want to come down, and they do, and they really have a good time. We're pretty good about asking, hey, where are you from? And then we keep a track on it, and then we turn that in kind of at the end of the day, and then the staff goes through it, and they said, wow, and because the reason why we do that is because we know where the multimedia that we invested in is hitting. So if we get people from those areas that we put money into in terms of commercials and things of that nature, then we know that it's worthwhile.
Right. And then are you guys really active enough on social media to tell us what's happening? Where should everybody follow to see when the dates are and where they can get their tickets? What's the best? You
can go on the Facebook page, and then also we have our own website. And just type in Castle Area Museum, and it'll take you right to it. Yeah.
And then Instagram and Facebook groups, I think you have.
Yes, I believe we do too. I don't get into that side of it. That's not my forte. But we do have a Facebook account, and I think we do have an Instagram account. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I really cannot wait for all these events. I hope I'm at all of them, and then.
Yeah. No, we love to have you. It's always nice to. And this year at Open Cockpit, we are going to have the helicopter rides.
Oh, that's right. We didn't get to do that last time. Okay, so tell us about that. That's really important.
Yeah, we have a service which comes down. I believe they're from Redding, and they'll bring 2 helicopters, and they give rides around the museum and then around the old Castle Air Base. And last time it was $100 a person, I believe. And I'm not sure what it's going to be this time.
It's a once in a lifetime experience. It's in the end of May. Everyone save your pennies, take a kid on an air. That's amazing. I can't wait.
My son's first ride in the air was at Open Cockpit Day, and it was a helicopter ride. And it scared him to death, but when he looks back on it, he said, oh yeah, this is really a lot of fun.
How old was he when he did that?
I think he was 8.
That's amazing. No, I really hope that's going to be so amazing. I think I'll take my godson that day. If he's around, then we could do that. That'll be amazing.
Yeah, no, we'd love to have you. The other project that we do have, we're putting concrete under all the airplanes, like the fundraiser that we had with the posters that you guys did for us. The problem was concrete, just to do all the concrete under the F-16 was going to be right at $6,000. And now it's gone up to $15,000.
How?
Well, with COVID and the supply chain issues and
can we buy the
fuel
cement
costs.
now?
Yeah, wish we could.
Can we buy it once we get the money, we could buy that but maybe not get started on the project till later?
Yeah, well, we have our curator, Tim Brown. He's working with some builders concrete and some other concrete guys to actually donate it. And that could be a big deal. The reason why that is because if we do concrete underneath the airplanes, you don't have to weed them, and the corrosion on
I totally understood why, but I will try to bust those pictures. Can anybody buy them online if they want to buy the photos?
We haven't.
Or just when we were going to set up a store. I think we talked about that.
Yeah, I think we did at one time.
But if everyone comes on an Open Cockpit Day, I'll sign them and I'll make sure that I get, I'll get the word out.
Yeah, we still have plenty left.
Okay. Well, I will make sure every last one of them is sold.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Thank you so much for coming on my show. Bill.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, for the no one with that slick back hair, the blues or the tattoos or the thoughts he shared. The $100 bill he's flashing, who the hell cares? The $20 haircut he cannot afford, the bar tab he splayed on high-priced whiskey they poured, the Cinderella's dreaming on the bar stool till dawn. But it's the green pasture comes at the end of the day. The campfire songs one summer he sang, and he's up on his hind legs, nothing left to say. Ba 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 bum, ba bum bum, ba 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 bum, ba bum bum, ba ba bum bum, ba ba bum bum, ba ba bum. The Coca-Cola glasses that he doesn't need to wear, the feathers in his cap strung by spider webs. He's got those phantom veins in his limbs, so he says. But it's the green pasture comes at the end of the day. The campfire songs one summer he sang, and he's up on his hind legs, nothing left to say. Ba 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 bum, ba bum bum, ba 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 bum, ba bum bum, ba ba bum bum, ba ba bum bum, ba ba bum. Well, it moves like the Colorado, like a snake that's never gonna eat its tail. But he feels just like he's on the road to hell. Yeah, it feels just like he's on the road to hell. But it's the green pasture comes at the end of the day. The campfire songs one summer he sang, and he's up on his hind legs, nothing left to say. But it's the green
thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so tell us everything you have going on with your music.
Well, I released a new single February 11th called Green Flash.
Awesome.
And that was the first single that I released in probably, or first music that I released since 2014. So it's been a long time.
Okay.
So it's been a long time. And so I'm excited to do that. I got another single coming out, I'm thinking April 29th, I think is the date, but not 100% yet. And then a full release coming out in June.
So we're gonna have a party for that, right?
So we're gonna have a big music release party, and I'm excited.
I want to be there for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited because it's, like I said, it's been a long time since I've done any kind of music release, and it's time, you know. I mean, I've been writing music and playing music around town for, I mean, really the last 20 years. When I start to think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh.
You play everywhere.
I feel like I'm starting to get there. So, yeah. So you know, it's time to start putting all this music out and really just releasing it. I just want to get it out there so I can just be done with it and not have to like stew over it in my brain. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do with all this?
So what's the tour? Tell us about the tour you're planning.
So we're planning on doing like a little Southwest kind of thing, and then like a northern kind of West Coast kind of thing. So yeah, I have looking at some spots out through down south through Tucson, New Mexico, like out to Austin and back kind of a thing. And then we're looking up to like Santa Cruz, Chico, Portland, Seattle, and back down. So that's kind of this culmination with the whole release of the June release. So that's starting to get in the works right now. I'm starting to do all the booking for that. So
where are you gonna travel to? Where are you gonna go?
Well, yeah, we're gonna do head south to.
But like, how far? What's the radius that you plan?
Oh, just like to Austin, Texas, and back.
That's pretty good. That's
and then
nice
Seattle and back.
Okay,
You know?
so you're hanging out on the west. Okay.
So planning a couple of those, and it's really nice because I'll travel with, depending if a full band, maybe not. I do a lot of stuff as a duo, as a pedal steel and acoustic guitar. So we might just do as a duo kind of a thing.
Do you have a manager, like, who gets you? Like,
no, I do it all.
Just like Timmy T was saying.
Oh no, it's crazy. I mean, it's like, it's not crazy, but it's kind of funny how, like you're your own marketing agent and you're your own graphic designer and you're your own.
Sometimes it's
marketing.
better that way, though, to really be on top of like what's going on.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's nice to have help, but then when you know, it's like you're on top of it.
I know, but I'm not like this visual graphic artist. Like I'm horrible. Sometimes I would just like take a picture of something and that would be it. I need to like get better at that. But yeah. No, so yeah, that's been a whole learning curve. Even with the last release of Green Flash in February, that was a whole, I mean, to me, that whole thing started for me probably October, like mentally, like trying to put together all the pieces that I need to do from album art to distribution and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, I started thinking about that stuff and like October, trying to put that together. And it was, now that I released it, now that it's done, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do it again. And I don't want to do it again, but you do it.
Right.
Because that's what you have to do.
And then you play every Monday at Lucy's Lounge?
Every Monday night at Lucy's Lounge, that's been my little home away from home for the last, probably, I mean, since really the pandemic opened back up again.
You've been there.
That whole thing,
Well, everyone's got to come see you there.
Yes, come down and see. That'd be
Where's
awesome.
the other spots that you're at?
I've been doing a lot of like gazebo gardens. I don't really have any big show. Oh, Porch Fest. That's going to be a thing. I'm going to
Okay, so what's that?
So Porch Fest is April 9th, and it's going to be around the Tower District in Fresno. And gosh, I wish I knew the numbers. I don't really know the numbers right now, but last year was, I think, 30 to 40.
I had heard of it.
Yeah, 30 to 40 porches. Music from like 1 to 6. Every porch has multiple acts all day.
That's so
there's
cool.
probably a good, gosh, I would think to 150 probably or more, 200 different acts, 300 acts that are going to be playing in Tower District at one time. You can look up at Tower Porch Fest. I think has a Facebook page and Instagram. You can check that out. And I'm playing at like 4, I think, near High Top Coffee, I think, or near on Hedges somewhere. It's like one of the porches around there. But That'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to bring my bike down there so I can ride around and check out all the music. But yeah, everybody should come out to that. I mean, that's going to be. Last year, I think, was the first year, and man, it really took off. It really was great. So many people came out, and this year's going to be even bigger. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in like 2 or 3 years that, I mean, it turns into a multi-day, maybe a weekend kind of a thing. Just a huge music festival in Tower, which is awesome.
So where can we get your music? What's your website?
So yeah, tednunes.com, Ted Nunes Music, I think, on Instagram or something like that. But yeah, tednunes.com. It's got all the stuff. And then I'm on, like, if you look up Ted Nunes on Apple Music or
Facebook, yeah.
all the stuff, like all the streaming platforms.
So I want to get your music, and I want to know when you're performing. So are you active on social media, at least telling us?
Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm on there all the time, which is another part of like whole music marketing, part of the whole thing, the DIY thing.
Yeah, no, we want to know where you are.
So social, yeah.
But I will definitely personally come out to Lucy's.
Yeah, come out.
That's awesome. That's a great spot.
But yeah, tednunes.com. Yeah, that's everything's there. All the music and calendar. But yeah, Porch Fest, April 9th. What else am I doing? I think there's going to be a country music festival up in Shaver Memorial Weekend, and I'll be up there with the band, so that'll be fun. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. But yeah, you can find out all that stuff on the website.
And do you bring the band? Is the band at Lucy's on Mondays as well?
No, I'm just solo.
You're solo, okay.
Solo on Lucy's. But yeah, with the band, it's me on acoustic and electric guitar, pedal steel, bass, drums. So it's pretty rad. I love playing with the band. That's one of my favorite things to do.
That is so awesome. Well, you'll have to come back and play more the different songs next time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially like before. I know you're going to be busy touring, but
I
yeah.
know. It'll be good. It'll be fun. I'll definitely come back. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I will walk, I will stumble, I'll be graceful when I can. When I talk, known to mumble, maybe I should learn to speak with my hands. I got wings that I can't carry. I can surely show you the way. Tuck your arms, dive down to me. I'll be shield, baby, come one may. Whoa, until the walls come down. Whoa, until the walls come down. You're on. Whoa, until the walls come. Yeah, you're home. There won't be smooth sailing. There'll be lightning in the sky. Tuck your arms, dive down to me. If you have to, well then cover one eye. Whoa, until the walls come down. Whoa, until the walls come down. You're on. Whoa, until the walls come down. Whoa, until the walls come.
to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here. Oh, I must confess, dear. Don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do. And there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend, playing pretend, playing pretend, ooh, playing pretend.
It's a mystery.